Odd, you say?
My husband thinks I'm making too much of it, but I'm worried about her capacity for magic.
Magic? You mean this world has magic in it?
Oh, of course. And in time, you'll be able to use it too.
Yay! So, isekai type thing?
See what I mean?
By the grace of the gods. Okay, so we have Weakest Tamer, episode number 3, my friends, and in talking collectively in the comments, I think what we all want from this show is just by the grace of the gods, you know, type show. And I really think that's what they're going for here. I feel like those same vibes for By Grace of the Gods and Weakest Tamer, I feel like those same vibes. I do think, you know, By the Grace of the Gods is a better show. Just because if we think 3 episodes for 3 episodes, 3 episodes of By the Grace of the Gods was way better than this one. I would say if that one was like a 7, 7.5, this was like a 6, 6.5. I would think this is like a whole point less. Doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, but it's just definitely not up to that snuff. But also, By the Grace of the Gods, season 1 was fantastic. Season 2 kind of sucked, but season 1 was really, really good. So anyways, with that out the way, when we have episode 3, I was, and I don't know if you really thought about this, but I'm gonna churn your brain now. I was so impressed. It is gonna sound stupid because this is kind of like a facetious comment. I was so impressed by how they left us off on the same cliffhanger from episode 2 to episode 3. And think about it this way, right? The last week's episode number 2, she got into a fight and the slime started, what she said, eating her hand. And that's the cliffhanger we got left off on. This episode was just 100% flashback. Well, maybe 95% flashback with 5% ending where she left off on last week. The only difference is that, she found out the slime didn't eat her. It didn't eat her arm, and the slime could say pew pew or po po or something like that. Other than that, we're no further than where we left off last week. So I was so impressed by that because I was like, wow, they pulled off basically just like not moving the story like zero. Like they didn't move the story forward at all. But I was appreciative though, because one of the things I really didn't want to see from this show was like, okay, well, how did we get here? So I was appreciative of the fact that they showed us the complete, history of how she ended up, being where she is. And we also got to see who her teacher was. Very weird stuff going on though, like very Village People vibes. Obviously she did grow up in a village, but like she was born and her parents were thankful and like everything was going hunky dory, And then age 5, she needs to get her skill. And, her parents asked her, like, what kind of skill do you want? She's like, oh, I would really love to be a tamer, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, well, I guess anything you get's fine kind of thing. So, like, they were being cool parents for the most part. Then we find the old lady, then, she's going to get her skill at the age of 5. Then we find the old lady who's like a seer or something for the village, and she's visited before. She comes to give good prayers to the gods. She was like, oh, I feel like the gods are going to bestow her something really good, She's like, I can feel it. And then we flash back, and she had visited before, and basically the old lady knew about isekai, right? Because the little girl was like, oh, it's like an isekai. Which, again, I kind of hate the fact that she just hears a voice, and she hasn't really just, like, pick a battle here. Either she's just a village girl, or she's a complete reincarnation. But they're like, no, we're gonna go in the middle. She's gonna hear a weird voice every so often. But anyways, so she says some weird stuff. The old lady's like, oh, don't tell nobody about your voice, about like being able to hear your past life, whatever. Like, people don't understand. They're gonna freak out. So anyways, old lady knows what's up. So she ends up going to get her skill, and here's when the shit started to hit the fan. She gets her skill. She gets the tamer skill, cool. But then she had no stars, which I think that I don't think she's starless. From the way I got it, it's like it looked like there was 3 stars there, and then the little orb or the little water thing that they see in exploded. So I think like she's like, it's not that she's starless. I think that her taming ability is so far beyond the star system that that's what I think was happening. I think she's an OP tamer as opposed to being starless. I think that it just wasn't able to calculate in that little scene bubble really what she is. So she's probably 4 or 5, whatever the limit of stars is. She's probably like way past that, 99 stars or something. At least that's my take. Let me know what you guys think. So that happens, and then her dad does like a 180 and goes from being loving father to like hating her. And Like, it's just so crazy how it happened, you know, because apparently, like, oh, starlets are they're just unlucky. So they still have a skill and ability. It's just like, if one star is like, yo, you got basic ass, you know, powers, like 0 stars is like, well, good effing luck, you know what I mean? So it's like, she still has a skill. So it wasn't like she's skillless. She's just starless. So she just had like she said it perfectly. Like, oh, like hard mode. It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, you gotta put a little extra in it. But her family does a 180, and her mom just gives up. Like, her mom just cries and gives up. Like, she doesn't protect her own flesh and blood at all. Her dad, like, doesn't even recognize her as flesh and blood. He starts asking the mom, like, is she even mine? Like, what an asshole. Like, he just does this, like, complete 180, just basically showing his real personality. And then they start off this witch hunt for this poor baby little girl, little 5-year-old girl. And she has to go start her own life. And the old lady helps her out and gives her, like, a bag and gives her books. And old lady dies because she's just old. She just got sick. But then they blame it on her. And then now they have this witch hunt for her. And apparently they have enough funds to, because she, I think last episode she had arrived in one of the neighboring cities. So they have enough capital to at least go out, so, it's so stupid. But anyways, overall, because this is dubbed, it's a watchable show. If this wasn't dubbed, I don't think I would watch it. I think I would drop this show. But because it's dubbed, I don't have to really pay a whole lot of attention, just kind of passively watch it. Let me know what you guys think, though. Are you going to keep watching this? Is it worth your time? Are you watching the dub? Let me know in the comments below. And my friends, I'll see you next week. Deuce, deuce.